Hello. I am glad you are here. Let's sit quietly for a moment before we begin. Today, I want to talk about something that lives inside all of us. Something we reach for when we feel lost, tired, or stuck. I want to talk about self-discipline, but not the hard, cold version you might imagine. Not the shouting voice that tells you to try harder. I want to talk about the quiet kind, the patient kind, the one that feels less like a fight and more like a slow walk toward something you truly need. And as you listen, your English is listening too. Every word, every sentence, every small pause. They are all helping you. So take a breath, get comfortable, and let's begin this conversation together. You already know what it feels like to want to change. Maybe you have felt it late at night, when the house is quiet and your mind becomes honest. You think about the things you keep promising yourself. I will start tomorrow. I will try again on Monday. This time will be different. And in that moment, you believe it. You feel a small fire inside you. It is warm. It is hopeful. It tells you that you are finally ready. Then morning comes. The light is too bright. The bed is too warm. And the fire, where did it go? You reach for it, but your hand finds only cold air. So you press snooze. You tell yourself you will begin later. And later becomes never. Does that sound familiar? Of course it does. Because you are human. And being human means wanting things that feel difficult to reach. It means wanting to be someone you are not yet. And somewhere in that wanting, there is a quiet sadness. Not a loud sadness. Just a small one. A whisper that says, "Why can I not do the things I truly want to do?" I have felt that whisper too. Many times. More than I can count. There was a year when I wanted to write every morning. Just one page. Nothing huge. Just one page of my own thoughts. I imagined myself sitting by the window with a cup of tea. The words coming easily, softly, like rain. I imagined how proud I would feel. But when the alarm rang at 6, my body felt heavy. My mind felt foggy. I told myself I needed more sleep. I told myself I would write after work. But after work, I was tired. My brain was full of noise from the day. So I watched videos instead. I scrolled through my phone. I did everything except the one small thing I said I wanted. And at night, lying in bed, I felt something hard in my chest. Not guilt exactly. More like disappointment in myself. A quiet sadness that I had let another day pass without becoming who I wanted to be. You have probably felt something similar. Maybe you want to exercise more, or eat better, or spend less time looking at a screen. Maybe you want to study English every day without needing someone to push you. The feeling is the same. You set a goal. You feel excited. Then life happens. You get busy. You get tired, you forget. Or worse, you remember, but you choose not to do it. And each time you choose the easy thing over the important thing, you lose a little piece of trust in yourself. That is what makes self-discipline so hard. It is not about being perfect. It is about keeping promises you made to yourself. And when you break those promises again and again, something inside you starts to believe that you cannot change, that you are just someone who gives up, that you are lazy, that you are weak. But listen to me carefully right now. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are just tired. Not tired in your body. Tired in the way you think about discipline. Somewhere along the way, you learned that discipline means fighting yourself, pushing harder, being strict, being cold. You think that to have discipline, you must become a soldier inside your own head. You must say no to everything fun. You must wake up at 4 in the morning and drink bitter coffee and feel miserable but proud. And because that image feels so hard, so cold, so lonely, you never really try. Or you try for 3 days and stop, because no one can live like that. No one can fight themselves every single moment and still feel okay. So let me offer you a different idea, a quieter idea. Self-discipline is not a war. It is not about forcing yourself to do things you hate. It is about choosing what matters most to you again and again, even when it is not easy. But here is the secret. It does not have to be painful. It does not have to be loud. Real discipline, the kind that stays with you for years, feels soft. It feels patient. It feels like a friend who walks next to you and says, "Let us try one small thing today. Just one. And then tomorrow, maybe one more." And that is how change happens. Not in big, dramatic moments, but in the smallest, quietest choices you make when no one is watching. Think about this for a moment. If you wanted to become someone who reads every day, what would that look like? Your old brain might say, read 100 pages every morning. Wake up at 5, no excuses, be strict, be powerful. And that plan might work for 2 days. Then, on day 3, you will feel exhausted. Your eyes will hurt. You will hate the book. You will hate yourself. And you will stop. But what if you started differently? What if you said, "I will read just 1 page every day"? That is all. 1 page. It takes 2 minutes. You can do it while drinking your tea or coffee. You can do it while waiting for the bus. You can do it right before bed. 1 page. That is so small, so easy, that your brain does not fight it. And after a week, you have read 7 pages. After a month, 30 pages. After a year, 365 pages. That is a whole book. And you did it without fighting, without pain, without guilt. That is the secret. The smaller the promise, the easier it is to keep. And when you keep a small promise to yourself, something beautiful happens. You feel a little bit of trust growing inside you. You think, okay, I said I would do this thing and I did it. Maybe I can do a little more. So you read 2 pages instead of 1. Not because you forced yourself, but because you wanted to. Because the story got interesting. Because the habit started to feel natural. And that is how real discipline is born. Not from pressure, but from patience. Not from fear, but from small, steady love for the person you are becoming. You might be thinking, that sounds too simple. It cannot be that easy. And you are right, in a way. It is simple, But it is not always easy, because even one small thing every day can feel hard on some days. On days when you are sad, on days when nothing feels real, on days when you just want to disappear into your phone and forget the world exists. On those days, one page feels like 1,000 pages. One push-up feels like a mountain. 1 minute of studying feels like an hour. And that is okay. That is normal. That is being human. The goal is not to never miss a day. The goal is to keep coming back, to notice that you stopped, and then to start again without punishing yourself. Let me tell you something personal. There was a time in my life when everything felt heavy. I had lost someone I loved, not to death, but to distance. And I could not fix it. I could not go back. I could only move forward, but moving forward felt impossible. I stopped exercising. I stopped cooking. I stopped calling my friends. I stopped everything that used to make me feel like myself. And I knew I should do something. I knew I should get up. But knowing and doing felt miles apart. So I made the smallest promise I could imagine. I promised myself I would stand outside my door for 2 minutes every morning. Just stand. I did not have to run or walk or do anything. Just stand in the fresh air for 2 minutes. That was all. It felt silly. It felt too small to matter. But I did it. Day 1, day 2, day 3. Some mornings I stood there with my eyes closed, breathing. Some mornings I cried a little. But I kept the promise. 2 minutes. Every morning. After 2 weeks, I wanted to walk around the block. Not because I forced myself, because standing started to feel boring. So I walked. Slowly. Without pressure. Without a goal. Just moving my body a little. And over time, those small steps became longer walks. Those longer walks became runs. And those runs became the thing that saved me. Do you see what happened? I did not start with a big plan. I did not tell myself to run every day. I started with something so small that my tired, sad brain could not say no. 2 minutes of standing. That was my only job. And because the job was so easy, I never felt like a failure. I never felt like I was falling behind. I just showed up, did the small thing, and went back inside. But something shifted inside me. I started to trust myself again. I started to believe that I could keep a promise. And that belief, that quiet trust, grew bigger than my sadness. Not overnight, but over many mornings, many small choices, many tiny wins that no one else saw. So let me ask you gently, what is one small thing you could do today? Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. What is one tiny action that takes less than 5 minutes? Something that moves you toward the person you want to become. Maybe it is drinking 1 glass of water when you wake up. Maybe it is writing down 3 things you are grateful for. Maybe it is stretching your arms for 1 minute. Maybe it is opening your English book and reading 1 sentence aloud. Just 1. That is enough. That is more than enough. Because the action itself is not the point. The point is to show yourself that you can keep a promise. The point is to prove to your own mind that you are someone who follows through, even on the small things, especially on the small things. I know what you are thinking. But I already tried small things. They did not work. I did not see any change. I gave up after a few days. And I understand that feeling. I really do. Because when you are used to wanting big results, small actions feel pointless. You read one page and think, this is not making me a reader. You exercise for 2 minutes and think, this is not making me fit. You study for 30 seconds and think, my English is still the same. And because you do not see a big change, you stop. You tell yourself that small things do not matter. But that is a trick your mind plays on you. Your mind wants immediate proof. It wants to see the finish line right now. But real change does not work that way. Real change is invisible for a long time, like a seed underground. You water it every day, but nothing happens. You see no leaf, no flower, no sign of life. And then one day, a tiny green shoot appears, and then another. And then suddenly, it is growing faster than you expected. But the water you gave it every day, those small, boring, invisible actions, that was the only reason it grew. Your self-discipline is the same. Every small promise you keep is like water on a seed. You will not see results tomorrow. You will not feel different next week. But after 1 month, you might notice that you feel a little calmer. After 3 months, you might notice that you do not fight yourself anymore. After 6 months, you might look back and realize you have become someone new. Someone who follows through. Someone who trusts their own word. And that person did not appear overnight. That person was built one small, quiet promise at a time. Let's talk about the feeling of failing. Because you will fail. I will fail. Everyone who tries to change will fail sometimes. You will miss a day. You will forget. You will choose to stay in bed instead of doing your small action. And in that moment, your old voice will come back. The loud one. The one that says, see? You cannot do anything right. You are lazy. You are weak. You should just give up. That voice is not your enemy. It is just scared. It is trying to protect you from disappointment. But it is wrong. Missing one day does not mean you failed. It means you are human. The failure is not in missing the day. The failure is in missing the day and then never coming back. The failure is in letting one small mistake become a reason to stop trying completely. So here's what I want you to remember. When you miss a day, do not punish yourself. Do not spend hours feeling guilty. Do not tell yourself terrible things. Instead, say this to yourself quietly. I missed today, that is all. Tomorrow I will try again. No drama, no shame, just a simple fact followed by a simple choice. And then you show up the next day and do your small thing. That is it. That is the whole secret of self-discipline. It is not about being perfect. It is about being persistent. It is about being kind to yourself when you fall, and then standing up slowly, brushing off the dust, and walking again. Not because you are strong, but because you are still here. Because you have not given up. And as long as you have not given up, you have not failed. I want to tell you about a friend I once had. His name is not important, but his story stays with me. He wanted to learn a new language. He dreamed of speaking it smoothly, without fear, without stopping to think. So he made a big plan. Study 2 hours every day. Learn 20 new words every morning. Speak to himself in the mirror for 15 minutes. It was a beautiful plan, and it worked for exactly 4 days. On day 5, he felt tired. He had a long day at work. His head hurt. He sat down to study, but he could not focus. So he skipped it. Just 1 day. But the next day he felt so guilty about skipping that he did not study either. He told himself he would make up for it on the weekend. On Saturday, he tried to study for 4 hours. He learned nothing. His brain was exhausted. His motivation was gone. And then he stopped completely for 3 months. He told everyone that learning a language was impossible for someone like him. But that was not true. The problem was not his ability. The problem was his plan. He tried to run before he could walk. He tried to change everything at once. And when he could not do it perfectly, he believed he could not do it at all. But later, after a long time, he tried again. This time differently. He told himself he would learn just 1 word every day. 1 word. That was his only promise. He wrote the word on a small piece of paper and put it in his pocket. He looked at it during lunch. He said it quietly to himself. Just 1 word. After 1 month, he knew 30 words. Not a lot, but they were 30 words he truly remembered. Not because he forced them into his brain, because he met them every day like small friends. After 3 months, he started learning 2 words a day. Not because he pushed himself, because 1 word started to feel too easy. He wanted a little more. After 6 months, he could say simple sentences. After 1 year, he had a short conversation with a stranger. It was not perfect. He made mistakes. But he was speaking. He was trying. He was becoming the person he wanted to be. And it all started with 1 word. 1 tiny, almost silly promise that he kept every single day. You see, self-discipline is not about how much you do. It is about how often you show up. It is better to study English for 5 minutes every day than to study for 2 hours once a week. Because 5 minutes every day creates a habit. It builds a bridge between who you are now and who you want to become. 2 hours once a week just creates exhaustion and guilt. The same is true for exercise. The same is true for eating better. The same is true for any change you want to make. Small actions, repeated often, will always win over big actions done rarely. Always. This is not an opinion. This is how human brains learn. This is how habits are built. This is how ordinary people like you and me become extraordinary to ourselves. Let me ask you something honest. When was the last time you felt truly proud of yourself? Not proud because someone praised you. Not proud because you succeeded at something big. but proud in a quiet, inside way. The kind of proud where you lie in bed at night and think, I did what I said I would do. Just a small thing. But I did it. Remember that feeling. It is one of the most important feelings you can have. Because that feeling is self-trust. That feeling is self-respect. And nothing in the world can give you that feeling except keeping promises to yourself. Not money, not success, not other people's opinions. Only you and the small choices you make every day can build that quiet pride inside your chest. Now I know that some days will feel impossible. Some days you will wake up and feel nothing. No motivation, no energy, no hope. On those days, do not look for motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings come and go like clouds. Some days the sky is full of them. Some days the sky is empty. If you wait for motivation to arrive, you will wait forever. Instead, on the empty days, just follow the plan. Not because you want to, because you promised yourself you would. Because you are someone who keeps promises, even the small ones, even on the hard days. Do your one small thing. Do it badly if you have to. Do it with no energy. Do it while feeling nothing. But do it. And then go back to bed if you need to. Go back to your sadness. Go back to your tiredness. But you did the thing. You kept the promise. And that act, that tiny act of discipline on a day when everything felt wrong, that is the most powerful thing you can do. That is the thing that changes everything over time. I want to share something that helped me understand discipline better. I used to think of it as a muscle. You exercise it, it gets stronger. You rest it, it gets weaker. That is true in a way, but I prefer a different image. I think of discipline as a small light inside a dark room. When you first enter the room, you cannot see anything. The darkness is everywhere. You feel lost. You feel afraid. But then you light a small match. The flame is tiny. It barely lights the space around your hand. But it is enough to take one step, then another match, then another. And over time, as you keep lighting small flames, the room becomes less dark. You start to see shapes. You start to see a path. You start to see the walls and the door. And eventually, the room is not dark at all. Not because one big light appeared, but because you lit so many small flames that the darkness could not stay. That is what discipline is. It is not one big heroic moment. It is thousands of tiny lights that you choose to light, one by one, day by day, even when you cannot see the whole room yet. So where do you start? You start right where you are, not where you wish you were, not where you think you should be. Right here in this moment, with exactly what you have. You have a body that can move a little. You have a mind that can focus for 1 minute. You have hands that can write one sentence. You have eyes that can read one page. That is enough. That is always enough. Choose one thing. One tiny thing that matters to you.
Not what your parents want, not what your friends are doing, not what social media tells you to do. What do you want? What small change would make you feel a little more proud of yourself at the end of the day? That is your starting point. Write it down if you can. Not on a perfect app or a beautiful notebook, just on any piece of paper. Write one sentence. I will, your small action, every day for 1 week. That is all. 1 week. 7 days. After 7 days, you can stop if you want. You can change it if you want. You can make it bigger or smaller. But for 7 days, just try. Not because you have to be perfect, because you want to see what happens when you keep a small promise to yourself. I promise you, something will shift. Maybe not a big shift, maybe just a small crack in the wall of self-doubt. But a crack is enough. Light can enter through a crack. And once light enters, more light can follow. While you do this, pay attention to your inner voice, the one that talks to you all day without you even noticing. Is it kind or is it cruel? Does it say, "Good job, you did your small thing today"? Or does it say, "That was nothing, anyone could do that, you are still a failure"? If your inner voice is cruel, you need to change it. Not because being nice is soft, because cruelty does not create discipline. Cruelty creates fear. Fear creates avoidance. Avoidance creates giving up. But kindness creates safety. Safety creates trust. Trust creates the willingness to try again. So be kind to yourself. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend who is learning something new. Would you shout at your best friend for missing 1 day? Would you call them lazy and weak? No. You would say, "It is okay. Try again tomorrow. I believe in you." Say those same words to yourself, out loud if you need to. You are learning. You are trying. That is enough. I know this is long. I know we have been talking for a while. But there is one more thing I need you to understand. Self-discipline is not the goal. It is the path. The real goal is the life you want to live, the person you want to become. Discipline is just the way you walk toward that person. So do not fall in love with discipline. Fall in love with who you are becoming. Fall in love with the feeling of waking up and knowing that you are a little closer than yesterday. Fall in love with the quiet pride of keeping promises to yourself. Fall in love with the small, steady light that grows inside you every time you choose to do the thing you said you would do, even when it was hard, even when you did not feel like it, even when no one was watching. And here is something beautiful that happens when you practice this kind of discipline. It starts to spread. You start small with one thing, reading 1 page, studying 1 word, walking for 2 minutes. And then, without forcing it, you notice that you are doing other things better too. You are more patient with people. You are more honest with yourself. You spend less time on your phone. You feel less anxious about the future. Because discipline is not just about one action. It is about the kind of person you become. And when you become someone who keeps promises, that identity touches every part of your life. You are no longer the person who gives up. You are the person who tries again. You are the person who shows up. You are the person who can be trusted by others, but most importantly, by yourself. Let me tell you one final story before we close. There was a woman I read about once. She was not famous. She did not do anything that would appear in the news. But her story stayed with me because it was so small and so real.
She wanted to write a book. She had dreamed about it since she was a child. But she worked full-time. She had 2 children. She was exhausted every evening. She could not find 2 hours to write, so she told herself she would never write the book. Then one day she made a different choice. She decided she would write 1 sentence every day. Just 1. On a small notebook she kept by her bed. Some days she wrote 1 sentence and fell asleep. Some days she wrote 1 sentence and then felt like writing another. Some days she wrote nothing at all. But she always opened the notebook, even if she closed it again. She kept the promise to try. After 1 year, she had written over 300 sentences. Many of them were not good. Some of them were just lists of what she ate for dinner. But some of them were beautiful. Some of them were honest and true, and full of her real voice. She took those sentences and put them together, like sewing small pieces of fabric into a blanket. And after 2 years, she had a book. Not a long book, not a famous book, but a book she had written herself, 1 sentence at a time. She printed 1 copy for her children and 1 copy for herself. And she said that holding that book in her hands was the proudest moment of her life. Not because it was perfect, but because she had not given up. She had kept showing up, 1 small sentence at a time, until the dream became real. That is what self-discipline looks like. It is not heroic. It is not dramatic. It is not a movie montage of someone running through the rain. It is small. It is quiet. It is boring. It is showing up when you do not want to. It is writing 1 sentence when you have nothing to say. It is walking for 2 minutes when your body feels like stone. It is opening your English book when your brain feels empty, and then doing it again tomorrow, and again the day after, and again, and again, and again, until one day you look back and you cannot recognize the person you used to be, because the person you used to be gave up, and the person you are now does not. Before we finish, I want you to take a slow breath. Just 1. In through your nose and out through your mouth. Good. Now I want you to think about 1 small action you can take today. Right after this video ends. Something that takes less than 5 minutes. Something that moves you forward. It does not matter what it is. It only matters that you choose it now, while you are feeling this quiet hope. And then I want you to do it. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Close this video if you need to. Go do the small thing. Then come back tomorrow and do it again. That is all I am asking. That is all you need to ask of yourself. You have been listening to me for a long time. And in that time, your English has been listening too. Every word, every sentence, every pause. Your brain has been learning without you even trying. That is a beautiful thing. That is a kind of discipline too. The discipline to sit still and listen when your mind wanted to wander. The discipline to stay with me until the end. You have already shown yourself that you can keep a promise. You promised to listen, and you did. That is real. That matters. That is the first small step. I will be here again, with another story, another quiet conversation, and I hope you will come back. Not because you have to, because you want to, because you are someone who keeps showing up, someone who is learning slowly and gently to trust themselves, someone who is becoming the person they have always wanted to be. Not all at once, but one small, quiet promise at a time. So go now. Do your small thing, and then rest. You have done enough for today. You have listened. You have tried. You have stayed. And that, my friend, is the beginning of everything. I believe in you. I hope you are starting to believe in yourself, too. Take care. And I will speak to you again soon.